Who am I? I feel like this is a really interesting question. Your face. My name is Jen Roseman, and I help people internally heal by using somatic integration coaching and ancient healing practices. So what got me into it is pretty much my whole life story, but I'll try to make it really short. So I was born into an ill body, and I never really felt well when I was little. And what I feel like this did, in combination of like having parents that didn't really know how to take care of me, was it set up these beliefs and paradigms in my system that were pretty much the perfect breeding ground for harboring a sensation of illness in my body. So I started seeking out all of these other healing modalities that weren't necessarily Western medicine, because Western medicine never really helped me. So my first foray into that process was with my acupuncturist and teacher, Katie Mink, who was in Berkeley, California. And she was the first person that used acupuncture on me in combination with sound healing. And when she put the tuning forks on my feet, the resonance was the first time I felt deeply reconnected to myself, but also like the ultimate truth of the universe. There's something so primordially connective about that tuning fork on my feet and the resonance that it created in my body that I feel like I didn't understand what it was, but I had to learn how to do that. So I started to dive deep into that. And then I was getting really good with the sound healing and the energy work, but I realized I did not know how to physically work with the body, like one-on-one, hands-on. So that's when I started to study massage therapy and then later Reiki. And after that, I went to school for yoga teacher training. So I got my 200-hour yoga certification. I started to learn about meditation practices. And then I went to acupuncture school and did a deep dive into that area. And after that, once I started practicing acupuncture, especially because it's a very potent medicine, but I realized it wasn't necessarily working for everyone, and it wasn't even necessarily working for me. Like for me, I was doing all of the things and I was still not healing, at least what I wanted to feel as healed. I still had chronic fatigue. I was still like barely controlling various autoimmune conditions. And so then that's when psychedelic medicine entered my life for the first time. I finally started to gain insights into why I wasn't healing. And it was more than just the external efforts that I was making. It was all about diving deep into really like my past traumas, especially my childhood traumas, and how they were literally imprinting, I'm trying to think of how to say this, like basically how the past traumas were setting up these beliefs and systems in my body that were almost like, I liken it to like, it was creating a magic spell. Like I was constantly casting this magic spell that was negative, that like, I can't heal, I'm always gonna be sick, I'm never gonna feel better. It was like this very hopeless paradigm that I trapped myself in. And so the psychedelics for me broke that. Like I literally felt it in my brain the first time I ever tried it, which I was very old, not very old, I was in my late 30s at the time. But it really, I was so old. But it really broke that spell for me. And I was like, okay, I don't really understand this either. But it was kind of like the first time that I experienced the tuning forks. I was like, I don't understand what this is, but it's doing something magical. So it was the first time again, gosh, because I was exposed to the tuning forks in my early 20s, that I had that like, oh, something important is really happening. So I started like studying the whole world of psychedelics and what it's currently being scientifically studied for now in terms of PTSD and anxiety and depression. And then working, studying with coach training programs, and getting more knowledge of like how to really work with people in a really gentle way to help them turn inwards to transform. And then through that, I was exposed to what's called somatic experiencing, somatic therapy coaching, which is really a body-based way of looking at everything. So instead of analyzing things with the mind, you're basically taught how to turn inwards to the feeling state. And then just from that place, there are just so many ahas that come to the surface that help you transform almost on a subconscious level. So that's my whole story of how I got into it up to the present moment of now. Really not be afraid to face the truth of what I'm trying to hide from myself. So I feel like a lot of what's happening in the world right now is that we are in a culture, in a society who is trained to not tell the truth and to not be authentic, right? It's like you can look at the whole advertising marketing world, right? There's just like illusions and smoke and mirrors, and like we have to put on these faces to be presentable to the world, or even like presentable to our own selves. And that's really not true. And I feel like that lack of authenticity is what's really damaging to our psyches, to the world, to everything. And so for myself, like that's just what I constantly want to do, is to always like look inside, what is true, what isn't. If I'm triggered, why am I triggered? It's really not something outside of myself. It's because that thing that's triggering me outside of me is reminding me of a trauma that I had in the past that's not allowing me to live in the present. And so it's just this whole new way of looking at life from a lens of truth. And that's ultimately what I wanted to teach people how to do. Why did I choose the name Breath of Life Alchemy? So when I first started studying sound healing and energy work, I was working in the nonprofit industry right after college, and I knew I wanted to not do that. I wanted to go to the healing arts. And I was thinking about, wow, what would it be like to even do that? And what would I name my business? And so one night I woke up, and what came to me were the words breath of life. At the time, I had no idea what that could symbolize. And when I typed it into Google, the first thing that came up was this image that I actually have tattooed on my shoulder. We can show this. This is this image right here. So this is on Nefertiti's tomb, and this is the first thing that I saw. And it's basically Isis giving the breath of life through the Ankh to Nefertiti. And so the breath of life to me symbolized hope, that there really is no end. Truly, there is no end. and that we can transform and evolve through any challenge. So the alchemy aspect came in more recently because, to me, what true alchemizing does, or what true alchemy does, we've heard it probably from the past, that it transforms lead into gold. So that's on a physical level. But in reality, you can just substitute challenges for lead and gold into healing or health or vitality. So ultimately, that's why Breath of Life Alchemy is now coming forward, because it's all about transforming your life into the most vital, healthy version of its possibility, of its existence.